Hello, hello everybody. So I'm doing this video on things that nobody told me before weight loss surgery. It was requested by one of our group members, and so I'm going to talk about it. So there's actually quite a few things, some of which affect me and some of which don't affect me, but I kind of found out in some of my clinical research. So one of the things, first, I'm going to tell you kind of like what the basics were, because these are things that I heard, but that you may or may not have heard. So I heard that cravings would go away, and for the most part, for a lot of things, and that is true. Regarding sugary things, like I used to love ice cream. Love, 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 love. Like I could probably eat a half gallon. Not, first of all, definitely not anymore, but we don't even have ice cream in our house. Like a protein shake, like an Undri protein shake is like the sweetest thing that I can have. So I don't know if someone has ever told you that, but I did hear that my tastes would change, but nobody really said how. And in terms of sweetness, I like things that are sweet, but not super sweet. And so that's something that nobody really told me. A lot of the physical stuff, and I'm kind of like going in a random order. The physical stuff, is really interesting, because the thing that they tell you is that if you have diabetes or hypertension or any of those things, they go away. That's true. I didn't have those things. So I didn't have to worry about that. A lot of the things that I experienced or that I've seen in my research about things that they don't tell you, is the emotional stuff, which is ironically what I work with people on, because that was the biggest part for me. But before I get to that, it's also what people say to you after having surgery. So, but because there's the thing, people will make an assumption that you took the easy way out. And I call bullshit on that, because it's easier. It's not easy, if that makes sense. You still have to make the lifestyle change. You still have to make the effort. You still have to make conscious choices every single day. Every single day. But the thing is that before surgery, you go for a walk, you go to the gym, you cut your carbs, and you're still famished, and you're still coping with food, and you're still trying to find ways to fill that void because you have a big stomach. After surgery, there's no space. And so it's really, a lot of programs will offer you nutritional counseling. They call it counseling, but it's really like a nutritionist, and exercise help, but they don't offer you behavioral health issues, like behavioral health supplementation. And here's the thing that nobody told me, and I didn't even know, it's not about the weight. It is about the weight, but it's not about the weight. And that's like the biggest thing. It's not about the weight. It is when you're going in for surgery, because you see your body and you're like there's self-loathing, there's hatred, you want to get the weight off. It's all about the weight. Your mind is like, it's all about the weight. It's all about the weight. It's all about the weight. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I feel. You're carrying around all of this extra weight. You can't move very well. So it's all about the weight. For me, my entire focus before surgery was the weight. I couldn't move well, walk long times. My knees hurt, my ankles hurt, my feet hurt. It took an extreme amount of energy for me to go do stuff. And my entire focus was on food. was, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? How am I going to eat it? Is it going to taste good? Is it going to be low calorie enough for me to lose the weight? Because the focus mentally was all about the weight. All about the weight. So here's the shift. You lose the weight. I lost the weight. And now I'm like, what am I going to eat? Okay. What am I going to eat? Okay, I'm going to have a protein shake. And I can only speak for myself on this, but before, my emotions were consumed with food. And in the 3 to 6 to 9 months following, maybe a year following, or maybe even longer, there was still some of that, because that's the old behavioral pattern. That's the old mindset pattern is, and I still like food. I know that there's a website, Bariatric Foodie. She's awesome. Like, you can like your food. I like my food, but I don't obsess about it like I used to. But it was twofold. It was me making the conscious behavioral change to not obsess about food, but also knowing I had to choose wisely. I had to be very conscious of my pouch, of what I was putting in my pouch, and that it needed to be, is it pouch friendly? Is it being pouch conscious? And even though I have the sleeve, I still call it a pouch. So protein first, always. And I still enjoy my food. It's just different. I don't obsess about the food like I used to. So that's one good thing. But the behavioral change is that, or the psychological thing is that I worked on that. I worked on that for a very long time, because what they don't tell you is that after surgery, if you don't change the behaviors, your mindset, you're still going to be focused on food. You're still going to be focused on food. And I was actually getting ready to write a post about this, which is pretty funny, because 4 weeks after surgery, I was put on pureed foods, and I wanted a hamburger so bad. I wanted a hamburger so bad, and I knew that I could have pate. Pate is like ground meat, but it's not ground meat. It's like pasty meat. I kid you not. I made a cheeseburger and I stuck it in the blender. Y'all are probably laughing at me right now. In the blender, in the food processor, to like pate consistency. Pate consistency. I had a teaspoonful. I was laying on the couch. Like, laid up. Like, my stomach is killing me. Because my stomach could not handle it. What they don't tell you, again, what they don't tell you, is that until you reach about the 4 to 6 month mark, red meat is no bueno. And if you can eat it earlier, great. But I found that for the first 4 to 6 months, red meat did not get processed very well at all. At all. And there are some people who heal pretty quickly and others that don't. And so you've got to figure out, what's best for you. But it's really about the psychological change that nobody told me about. The other thing that nobody told me is that once I lost the weight, that I still experienced self-loathing and self-doubt and self-confidence issues. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, there was an epiphany. I was like, wait a minute. I've lost all this weight. I look fantastic. What's wrong with me? So what they don't tell you before surgery, and what a lot of people go into surgery thinking is, okay, I'm going to get my body back. I'm going to look fantastic. And that's aside from the hanging skin stuff. Because I think a lot of people recognize that there's going to be hanging skin. But what they don't tell you is that you get to know you, the real you, outside of that fat suit. You're relearning who you are outside of that fat suit. You're getting in touch with who you are at the very basic level. You are raw. You are vulnerable because you're a different person. You're getting different attention. Wow, you look fantastic. You look great. And you're getting a different attention, and that feels good. And then what they don't tell you, and I did not experience this because I have a very supportive partner, but for other people and some of the clients that I've worked with, is that your partner can become jealous of the attention that you're getting. Oh, now you think you're hot shit, huh? Oh, now you think you're all that. That comes up. Jealousy in the workplace because now you look good. Now there's competition, let's say among females. Does it really actually have to do with the weight? No, it has to do with your confidence. Your confidence has improved, but now people are going to try to keep you down. It has to do with how you perceive yourself. So on the inside, you still have that inner fat chick. And you look good on the outside, but you're still seeing like, oh no, I look good. No, I don't. I look good. No, I don't. And the feelings that you feel about yourself that you've never dealt with. Stuff from childhood, stuff from years ago that you never dealt with. Or your emotional eating. People, they tell you don't graze. Don't graze. Okay, don't graze. But if you have an emotional eating issue, you're going to graze. And so changing the lifestyle changes after bariatric surgery, everybody talks about, again, nutrition, get your water in, get your exercise. Nutrition, protein first, water, exercise. That's all great. But it's also this stuff here. It's also what's up in your head. And I've had clients that have had financial issues where they don't know where their next meal is coming from. And so somebody gives them like free food and you're like, all right, I'll take it home. So let's say it's something like pasta. Well, we're not supposed to be eating pasta. But what they don't tell you is that not only do you need to make the conscious choices, but you've got to fix your mindset so that you are putting you first. Boundaries. Boundary setting with friends. Boundary setting with family. So people, are you supposed to be eating that? I have clients that come in my office all the time. They tell their family they had bariatric surgery. Are you allowed to eat that? Are you going to eat that? Are you allowed to? Is that on your plan? So a lot of this stuff that people don't tell you is kind of the stuff that that actually I'm in here talking about, that I am working on talking about with people, because those are the things that they don't tell you. Yes, you will have cravings at times, but it's really about you practicing the consciousness and practicing the awareness of, okay, am I going to eat the chicken breast or am I going to eat the pasta? Even though I know that's not what I'm supposed to be eating. That's not going to help me get to where I want to go. What they don't tell you is that 40% of people, and this is what I found out in my clinical research and my PhD studies, although the American Association for Metabolic and something says that only 3% of people regain all of their weight back after 5 years or after 2 years, 40% of people experience regain. 40% of people experience regain. I've seen the clinical studies. I've seen the clinical research. But we're not talking like 100 pounds. We're talking like 20, 30, 40 pounds from their initial weight loss. What they don't tell you also is that you have the first 5 years is when you need to lose the most weight, because after that you have to do pouch tests. Like go back on liquid diets to kind of make sure that you haven't stretched your pouch. I don't tell you that. So there's a lot. I probably have to do this in several videos. and get it a lot more clear and concrete, because I think that there's so much valuable information. They don't tell you about the relationship stuff that comes up, which I address. They don't tell you about the confidence issues that you'll face, because on one hand, you'll have a boost in confidence, but then everybody around you won't necessarily know how to deal with you because they're so used to you kind of maybe hiding yourself or hiding your body. So that's a shift. Friends, friendships, boundaries, boundary setting, everything that I wrote in that list on the poll. Emotional eating, you really slowing down with food. They will tell you to slow down with food, but they're not with you to hold you up in the accountability to keep you going. So it's interesting because a lot of these, also the TV shows like My 600 Pound Life, will show you like really extreme cases. Not everybody is that extreme. But when you have patterns of behavior around food, emotional eating, and coping with food, those are the things that people will discuss, but they won't ever really go into detail about the possibilities. Because what could happen if you go backwards? I mean, they will, but you know you better than you, and that's why it's hard to generalize some of these things. But a couple other things, because I wrote a couple other things down. Others may think that they're being supportive, but what they're going to do is they're going to give you unsolicited advice, unsolicited food advice. They're going to tell you what they think you should be doing or wearing. You're going to have to buy a new wardrobe. Some relationships might change. Excess skin, I talked about that. Body image and body perception. I've known people that they've lost the weight and they don't feel comfortable in their own skin because they haven't gotten used to who they are yet. So they look different, but they don't feel different on the inside. So it's really about being patient with yourself, practicing the compassion. And that's why I'm offering a lot of different journaling exercises and things, and have some different things coming up, because I think that that's what's so important, is you getting to know you underneath the fat. Because before the surgery, it's like, wait, I'm fat. I need to lose the weight, need to lose the weight. The weight is the issue. Once the weight is gone, my life is good. And that's actually not the case. That is the biggest thing that nobody told me, is that everybody's like, oh yeah, once you lose the weight, you're going to look fantastic. And you see these people with all their transformational photos. I have transformational photos. But even in the after photos, I had to go through my own internal mental, emotional process that was very lengthy. I went to my own therapist and my own coach for a time, because you can get into patterns of self-sabotage. Thankfully, I reached out for help and I didn't get there, but that's what some people can do, is they can get into these patterns of self-sabotage because they're not dealing with the emotional issues. There are emotional issues. Coping with food is an emotional issue. And this is another thing that's huge. Even before I had surgery, and I'm going to share this somewhere else too, even before I had surgery, I went to a leading eating disorder specialist in the Seattle area where I was living. And I was like, all right, I'm having issues with food. I went to a nutritionist. I did hypnotherapy. You name it, I tried it. Like gobs of money spent on trying to lose weight. Personal trainers, buying food. And I sat down. She was very expensive. I paid out of pocket. I didn't submit through insurance. And I think that's important, because when you pay money for something, you want to know that you're getting help. You want to know that you're getting your needs met. And that's very, very important. That's very important for me as a therapist and a coach, and as a client, and more so as a client more so as a coach and a therapist, because I was going to a coach and a therapist and I was like, what the heck? So I go to her and I'm like, okay, I'm having these emotional eating issues. I'm not staying on the plan, or I'm seeing a nutritionist and these are my issues. And I really want to talk about the emotional stuff that comes up that causes me to eat. And she's a PhD therapist. You know, she's got like gobs of like letters behind her name, and she's tall and thin. And here I am, like 400 pounds. Or maybe at that time I was like in the high 300s. I don't think I had reached 400 yet. I think I was like 350, 360. And I was like, all right, I have these emotional eating issues. I was binging. I really want to work on this. You know, I want to talk about this stuff, this emotional stuff, this stuff that I've been carrying around. And she's like, you know what? I really think the first thing we need to do is put you on an eating plan. Like, we really need to get you on an eating plan. Now, mind you, I've been seeing a nutritionist. I'm going to a personal trainer. Or, you know, some variation in between, because I would see people at different times and sometimes they weren't always overlapping. But I think it was like on the 5th or 6th session where she was analyzing my food log that I was like, I'm paying this woman like $200 an hour for her to do a fucking food plan with me. And if cursing offends you, I'm sorry, I curse. A food plan with me. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Like, you're a psychologist. I'm here to work on this, and you want me to do a food plan? That was the issue. That was the issue. Because I knew I could fake the food plan. At that point in time, I knew that I could fake the food plan. I knew that I didn't have to be honest about the food plan. So you want to talk about a food plan? Really? No, I'm done. I'm out. Because the real deal, the real deal that I want to help people with, and that I know because I experienced, and as a clinician I see, it's not about the food. It is about the food, but when you take away your ability to satiate, to eat, and your eating changes because you're forced to change, you're still left with the mindset. And guess what? It was never about the food. It was never about the food. It was about the emotions underneath and how the food made you feel, because the food was your coping mechanism. And for me, I couldn't get there until after surgery. Some people can get there before surgery. Awesome. I couldn't. I didn't. And I accept that. And there's no judgment. I have tons of compassion for myself. And I went through that, and I'm so much happier because not just for the surgery, but also for the emotional development that I went through after surgery to really recognize, oh shit, it wasn't about the food. So I know as I'm going to write this down, because I think that this is important for a lot of people to hear. And as things come up, like what do I wish I knew? That was something that I wish that I knew. Although even if someone told me that, I don't know if it would sink in, because I was so focused on my body and the physical appearance and being disgusted with the physical appearance, that even if someone told me, oh, Kristen, it's not about the food, I would say, bullshit, it is about the food. Because at that point in my life, before surgery, I was so obsessed with food that I couldn't get there until after I had surgery. Until after I was forced to really take a look at food and food intake and look at food in a different way and go through the emotional processes. So I hope that helps. I'm going to be sharing bits and pieces of my journey, bits and pieces of things that I've worked on with clients, non-disclosing any information, of course. I mean, like, keeping private information private, but I can tell you, you know, like working with a woman who's lost 125 pounds and the issues she's gone through in her marriage and the issues that she's gone through personally, emotionally, in her career, you know, different clients that I've worked with. I can talk about different scenarios. And that's what I'm going to be doing, is kind of doing more videos on my journey and other people's journeys, because I think that that's what's so important. And that's what a lot of people don't talk about. So everybody's like, this is what I'm eating. This is what I'm doing today. I'm exercising, which I think is awesome, because I think we all need that motivation. What I think that other people are not talking about are really those vulnerable emotional issues with real life stuff. And that's what I didn't know before. And that's what I help people through now. So as you are moving forward with your surgery and surgical date, keep us posted on your progress, on which surgery you're going to have. I think that was another question you had. I had the sleeve. I know some people really like bypass. I wanted the sleeve because I didn't want a pouch that was, for me personally, and also I even though I could have qualified for I did qualify for the bypass. I didn't want the bypass because of the absorption issues. I wanted the sleeve. I wanted the sleeve so that I had my own stomach to absorb nutrients, and that was the best option for me. Obviously, I'm not a medical doctor. It's best that you speak with your physician, your surgeon, about that, about what's the best fit for you. I know people who have qualified for both the sleeve and the bypass, and they've chosen the sleeve. I know people who have qualified for the sleeve and the bypass, and they've chosen the bypass. I know people who have had lap band. And personally, I would never do lap band because I needed something that was permanent, not adjustable. So that's me. But I think that you making the best decision for you is one that's made between you and your surgeon, you and your doctor, but also looking at all of the evidence in terms of, I think the sleeve these days is just as effective as the bypass, in terms of clinical research, things that I've read. Although some doctors believe the bypass, some people do have like what they call a bypass revision. But I think that has to do more with maybe how much more they're cutting. And I think there's a lot more specifics on each individual situation because of that. So I hope that answers your questions. And I look forward to making more videos about this, about my journey, about my clients' journeys, and about helping you move forward in this decision to have bariatric surgery, weight loss surgery, and to support you following the surgery. So thank you for being here. And if you know anybody else who's interested in joining our group, please send them on over. And please know that I am also going to be posting a lot of these videos on YouTube and then posting them in the group so that you guys have access to them in a bunch of different ways, or can share them if you know other people who need to watch them. Okay. All right. In love and light. Have a great day. Bye.